Hello, everyone. I'm joined by Kushbu and coming to you live from Mumbai. I'm finally here. Very excited to be here.
We're glad that you're here in India.
Yeah,
Ah,
it was definitely a welcome to India. I love this place, and yeah, had my first Indian meal just before, which getting used to the spice again. I like it. um, But yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about choosing or controlling. And we just actually finished a massive, like, 6 day event in South Africa. And one of the conversations that we were having there was about what if there was no control? And like looking from the place of, are you really truly choosing what works for you? And or are you controlling you with the choices that you make? So yeah, it's been quite an interesting conversation what it's unraveling, and some of the things that I've recognized recently. We tend to think that people outside of us, control us and our choices, but often it's us that make other people more relevant. When we go to choose something, so a lot of the control that we actually do in regards to choosing is us controlling ourselves. So, it's like if you were doing no control with your choices, what would you choose? And it was funny because when we arrived in Mumbai this morning, we sort of came out of our flight. We came up to customs, and there was, I would say, like four people in front of us, and literally it took like an hour to get those four people through customs. And me and my partner Tiffany and my son Silas were standing there going, "Okay, what is going on?" Like, but the guy was doing a lot of control, and things were going very slowly, and everyone was getting very frustrated, and yeah, it was quite funny to sort of witness it. And
yeah.
one of the things I guess just to be aware of is like that's really what happens when you do control in your life is you slow things down and you get frustrated, and it tends to not create the greatest stuff. Were you going to say something, Kushbu?
No, I was just like, of course there was control here. Like, of course we control. But so I just want to ask, like, so as an X-Men, you're even like really fast. So what does control for an X-Men typically sort of? I know, like when I try to control, my body starts hurting. Um, and
Yeah.
so
Well,
what is it like? How does an X-Men know that they're actually controlling and not choosing?
yeah. Well, in order to do control, you do have to use quite a lot of energy against you. That's my son laughing in the background. And so, you'll notice when you're doing control if you are going to create something or you're going to do something. And it basically, like you were talking about with your body, you get that sense of like, oh, this is not so much fun. And it has more of a sense of contraction and density to it usually. Yeah, control is not necessarily like a bad thing as well. Like you can actually sometimes you do need to be in control and take control, but I think the difference that we were really looking at as well with this conversation is like we've always gone to, okay, we can either be in control or we can be out of control. But what if there was no control? And so, what if some of the things that you thought that you had to deal with or take a point of view about, what if there was no control? Like, what if that actually, as a concept, is not something like not something that you actually always need to choose, like to be in control or out of control. And so, yeah, it's a really different space. And if you've done any access classes ever, you would have heard of in control or out of control. And you've probably run some clearings on yourself. So this is just like another perspective, I guess, that you can also start to use. And for X-Men, it's quite funny because we're like energetic, and so often the ways that we'll control ourselves, or create control, is also from an energetic point of view. So yeah, you want to look at like what is getting created by the choice that I'm making. Is this creating control? Is this out of control? And is any of that actually required?
Yeah, because this actually reminds me. I've been talking to some people just before the X-Men class, and there's so much control in choosing even to like just
Uh-huh.
hey relax guys.
Uh-huh.
There's so much control, and it's almost like they repeat this pattern just before class, like it's the same thing again and again. So maybe the question could be like, am I choosing or am I controlling? If
Yeah.
if you find, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really great point too, because I guess like if you're going to allow yourself to receive, often that's the place where like you make a choice, right? And when you make that choice, you open different doors for different possibilities. If you make a choice from trying to control everything and everyone, it's a very limited set of possibilities. So, like choice from no control is a completely different reality. Like you will start to access way more of the possibilities that are actually available. And you know, I think we've all heard of or even experienced places in our own lives where we weren't sure how the hell we were going to create something, but we chose it and we ended up creating it. And I think that's the important thing to recognize about this is that choice creates. And usually it's the points of view that we have or we take that actually limit what can show up based on our choices.
Yeah. Choice creates. Please choose.
Yeah.
And I can
Yeah.
almost imagine, like, as an X-Men, like being out of control. I literally like how your kid is laughing in the background. I literally imagine myself being like that and just like shouting in the middle of, like, yelling down the stairs and like, and just being. But since you're an adult, you can't be that. And I think even in my life, like a lot of control comes from there. Like, hey, I'm not a kid. I don't
Yeah.
need to
And
control.
we learn as kids like how to control ourselves from our parents and from the people around us, and the systems and the structures that are put in place to like create control. So it's one of those things that might be a little bit more actually deeply kind of embedded in your reality than you might actually realize. And like that was just one of the conversations that we had in the 6 day that really started to open things up. I'm actually super excited for this X-Men class coming up in just a few days, because we have lots of different things to explore from a really different point of view in a really different place. um, yeah, so it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be big, like like that's
Yeah.
that's that's the sense I get. Oh, awesome. Um,
Cool. Yeah, so I would, if you're watching, if you're listening, I would say just, I just start asking that question, like for anything that shows up, am I choosing or am I controlling here? And if there was no control, what would I choose?
they would probably choose to come with X-Men class. Kidding.
Yeah.
No. Uh,
That's
ah,
one example.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I guess an example from my own life as well is, like we recently just traveled to South Africa, and, now we're here. Before I came, I didn't have, actually, I didn't have all of my, ducks in a row. And, it's also allowing that thing of like when you make a choice and different possibilities show up, then you also then start to choose different things, which allows like a different receiving to occur. So it's not that you have to have it all planned and figured out. It's you choose and your choice creates, and then you get to choose again. So yeah, just
Yeah.
if you're like wondering about a choice, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this, and what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't choose this? One of them is going to have a more expansive energy to it, and one of them will probably have a more contractive energy to it, and it just depends what you want your life to be like.
Yeah. And like, oh, I just wanted to even like money becomes like this control factor just before choosing. Like, but really, if you keep money aside for just like 5 seconds and then ask this question and then let the money follow, life will be easier. Ah.
It's relaxing, isn't it?
Yeah. It'll be so much more relaxing. And then
Yeah.
then I've noticed like stuff just starts flowing in, and the money shows up. Just it does. It always does. But choosing first.
Yeah. But yeah, usually it's the people that like have chosen before and know that it actually works. So, if you're like hearing this and you're like, but that doesn't make any sense, it's not really something you can figure out, but it is something that you can get awareness from if you're willing to choose it. So, yeah. And look, it's not just about it's not about choosing this class. It's about choosing whatever you desire to create in your life, whatever's gonna create greater for you. So yeah,
Yes.
I can't wait to see you soon.
See
So
you
soon.
soon. The class
Yes.
is this weekend for whoever is still who's watching this and doesn't have the information. It's on the 28th and 29th in Mumbai at the club in Andheri. You can reach out to me or Charu or one of us, and then we can give you more information. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, and thank you so for this.
Yes, and it's also online. So if you're watching this and you're around the world and you're like, I don't want to miss out, you can join us online. And there are even people joining us online from India. So that's also an option.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
don't want to come have fun in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
see you soon. Bye, everyone.